very much, Bernard, and it's really nice to be with you, and I thank you for taking off your time during the lunch hour, because I guess that's what this is, an hour between 1 and 2, when 1 and 2, 12 and 1, I guess. I don't know what time zone I'm in. I've been in so many time zones the last few weeks. But thank you for coming and taking this opportunity to engage in some very meaningful and some very critical thinking. The book itself, Can Man Live Without God, was published a few years ago, and it was born directly out of the 3 lectures that I was privileged to deliver at Harvard University when they presented the subject to me. And so if you do pick up that book, you will get a more exhaustive treatment. The venue was the Harvard Law School, some tremendous interaction with the students and some great question and answer time, almost unedited. If it is edited, it is only to edit it to smoothen out some of the unsaid words or whatever, but they are taken literally right out of the lectures and the interactive time we had. And on the last day, actually, some students were able to join me on the platform, and they themselves interacted with the audience. It's great to be in Singapore for these few days. We've got some busy days ahead of us, but we are honored to be here. And thank you always for being so hospitable and kind as guests come your way. My wife and my daughter are with me, and some of my other colleagues from my office in Atlanta, and actually some even from the Middle East and from India. Many years ago, somebody penned these words rather sarcastically, and I think you will get the point because it is well put. And I quote some of these based on the famous political Scottish activist Andrew Fletcher, who said this: "Let me write the songs of a nation, I don't care who writes its laws. Let me write the songs of a nation, I don't care who writes its laws." What Andrew Fletcher was really hinting at is that sometimes a culture is molded much more by the philosophy of its lyrics and music than it is by any legal system enforced upon them. And invariably, when you're looking for the search of a culture, for the ethos of a culture, for the inclinations and the hungers of a culture, if you really listen to their popular music, you are listening to the popular philosophy of what it is that is shaping the thinking of that culture at any time. And so here's some of these words which I think are very interesting. First, dentistry was painless, then bicycles were chainless, and carriages were horseless, and many laws enforceless. Next, cookery was fireless, telegraphy was wireless, cigars were nicotineless, and coffee caffeineless. Soon oranges were seedless, the putting green was weedless, the college boy was hatless, the proper diet fatless. New motor roads are dustless, the latest steel is rustless, our tennis courts are sodless, our new religion godless. Put very succinctly, in a very poignant way, we've eliminated things from our lives, and as we were coming to the tail end of the 20th century, it became very fashionable to be godless as well, and God became a marginalized entity. This did not happen very suddenly. I remember reading the philosopher Nietzsche many years ago. The German philosopher Nietzsche was actually born in 1844 and died in 1900 at the age of 56. But Nietzsche is the one who made popular the phrase, "God is dead." It is because of him that the 20th century entered with that popularized notion that God is dead. And what Nietzsche really meant was that philosophically God could not survive the onslaught of the skeptic. He could see the age of science coming in, he could see the age of skepticism coming in, and his question was, how can any rational human being still really believe in the supernatural? And Nietzsche had a very powerful way of stating it. He didn't just state it in philosophical fashion back and forth. He also resorted to the writing of dramatic forms of expression. And in this particular parable, which is quite popular, you will hear the metaphors that he uses. They are very profound metaphors. And whether one agrees with Nietzsche or not, one has to agree that he has raised the question with as sharp an edge of a sword as anybody could have raised it. So I'm going to read that parable for a major part of it and then bring my response to you. Listen to how he said it. Have you not heard of that madman who lit a lantern in the bright morning hours, ran to the marketplace and cried incessantly, I'm looking for God, I'm looking for God. As many of those who did not believe in God were standing together